So now we are booting the Linux to this port to delete all of the I would say redundant EFI partitions, because we will not use them anyway. So here we are in the Quartet Magic. So partition editor, and we go here. We want to delete the EFI partition, delete, apply. Now move on to another one. This is the 1 terabyte of Western Digital. I already deleted the FAT32 partition, which is the EFI partition, because we use this during our test build, so we don't have EFI partition in there. Now we move to another one. We delete this one, apply, close. I know we are losing 200 megabytes of each hard drive because of this, but customer said it's okay, doesn't mind it, so we are not extending or moving or doing anything with the partitions. So this one we don't have EFI partition because that was used as a external hard drive, so it's also formatted to exFAT and not GUID or HFS. And this is my USB that we are booting from. So now we have all of the hard drives ready. We can reboot the computer. And we are in the BIOS back again. Now I will unplug my USB key with the Linux on it and plug in the USB that we created, the bootable USB we created moments ago. Don't forget to plug the USB key directly on the motherboard, not through the front panel, not to the USB 3.0. Just use the standard USB 2.0 and you will be just fine. Now we can just reboot again, and we can select the Kingston Data Traveler, which has the UEFI. And as you can see, we are in the Clover bootloader. Now we want to select the install boot OS X install from install OS X El Capitan. We have all kinds of other entries because those are actually the hard drives that are previously created, and that are from other computers, such as, for example, the Recovery HD, something other named Recovery HD, and this is the MAC OSX SSD, which is the test build that we are currently running, but we don't want to run any of those, so we can just boot from OS X El Capitan. One small thing that we will have to do is to go to the options, and because when we first boot the OS X, we don't have the NVIDIA web drivers installed yet. So we will go to NVIDIA drive or NVDA _DRD equals 0, and to force it to load the visa, we go NV _disable equals 1. These are under the boot options inside of the Clover. Just hit the escape to go back and boot install OS X El Capitan. So now we have the welcoming screen from OS X. Use English for this for the main language. Yes. And now we want to go to the disk utility, because we already have our test build running on the SSD inside of the computer, we want to reformat the hard drive and install the OS X from scratch. You also will have to do this if you have new hard drive which was never formatted before, or SSD or any kind of storage media. So we'll go ahead and go to disk utility. So we want to reformat or erase the Samsung SSD. So we click on Samsung SSD, erase. We can call it MAC OS X SSD. We use extended journal and GUID partition map, and we just erase it. And now we have completely blank, just formatted Samsung SSD. We can close this, and now we click Install OS X. Continue. Yes, we agree to the terms and the conditions of the software, and we want to install El Capitan on MAC OS X SSD that we just formatted. We just click install, and now we wait again. And I just realized that we forgot to set the boot arguments correctly. So the last two reboots were not even supposed to be there. But now that we actually go to the options and again set the NVDA underscore DRV to 0 and NV disable to 1. Now we should be able to continue. Let's check the arguments again. 0, 1, and just continue with the install OS X El Capitan. Now it should boot correctly, so I apologize for that. It just slipped my mind. Okay, so now the computer is successfully restarted. We boot to our USB key again, the Kingston Data Traveler. We wait for the clover to load. And don't forget to set the boot arguments again, which are once again NVDA underscore drive or DRV 0 and NV underscore disable equals 1. So with the boot argument set up, now we can go back, and now we have the option boot Mac OS X from Mac OS X SSD. We hit the enter, and now we should be now we should boot for the first time the Mac OS. And there we are. Because we are not plugging in the Apple keyboard, we have Logitech keyboard with some Apple control keys, which is also for the Windows and also for the Apple. So we can just use the ISO or ISO European layout, and here we are. So now, for example, we go to the Finder, install OS X El Capitan. We can actually eject that one, take it out of the computer. If we go to about this Mac, you can see what I was for eject. What I was talking about, that we have first of all version 10.11.3 El Capitan. Then we have the base clocking of our CPU, which is 4 GHz or 4.01. 32 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4, clocked to 2600 MHz. Startup disk is MAC OSX SSD. NVIDIA chip model 7 MB. This is what I was talking about, that if we don't inject the NVIDIA drivers that are within the clover, and we don't have one of the supported NVIDIAs, which are 9000 something, and the older models with which the drivers are within the clover installation, we need to install the web drivers which support our graphics card, which is the 970, 980. So we can see that the graphics here is NVIDIA chip model 7 MB, which is not really what we have. If we had the NVIDIA injected, then it would recognize that it's GTX 970, but it would show 0 MB instead. Yeah, that's pretty much about the system information. Now you might wonder why we still have to install OSX El Capitan. I actually replugged it in because I realized that we will need the bootloader from the E5 partition from this USB key. So let me quickly go to Safari and download the clover configurator. So we can download this from here very quickly. File, and I'm using the Vibrant edition, and here we can see what I meant by video not working correctly and the steering and everything that it is not supposed to have. So we have the clover configurator. Yes, we want to open it, so system preferences, security, and we can actually change this to open apps from anywhere, and allow from anywhere. There might be some security issues, but we know what we are doing at this point, and we will probably set the setting back for the customer not to have any security issues. So now we mount the EFI partition, which is install OSX El Capitan. It's disk 6 S1, so 6S1. Okay. Unexpected disk identifier, just click continue and it will mount just fine. So we go to Finder again, go to EFI partition, copy disk to desktop. Yes, we have it in there. Now we can eject both install OSX El Capitan and also the EFI partition of the USB key. We have to eject it. Can also close clover configurator. Actually no, we want to mount the EFI partition of our SSD drive. So if you click mount EFI and there is only one EFI partition, it will mount automatically, so we will not get the choose window. Now we can close the clover configurator. We can copy the E5 folder to our E5 partition, and actually we can delete this one first and then paste the one with the clover bootloader. So that's been done. Now we can install the web drivers, which is NVIDIA web drivers El Capitan 10.11.3. We have it right here directly from the NVIDIA website. Download agree and download. Now we have the web driver downloaded, so we can just open the package and install the NVIDIA web drivers, agree to the license, install, put the password, and are you sure you want to install the software now because the computer will restart? Yes, continue the installation. Okay, well, we can restart the machine without any concerns because the boot arguments are set to NVIDIA Drive 1 and NVA disable 0. So now with the computer restarts, we should have the NVIDIA graphics card running correctly with correctly allocated memory and everything. Okay, so you might have noticed that before I wanted to download the NVIDIA drivers. So I downloaded them, installed them, and then when we rebooted, it was booting into a black screen. No matter what I did, it was booting into a black screen. Then I realized that okay, now change the SM BIOS as to MAC 13.2 to iMac 13.2, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And then I was like, then why it was working with well, when we built the test build on 17.1 with NVIDIA installed and everything was working fine. Okay, the answer is I just downloaded the wrong driver. It was the old version, which was a 346.03.05 F01 instead of the latest one, which is F02. So we cut that part out, and now we are actually running the NVIDIA drivers, but it making no difference. I will just download this one again and install the F02 version, reboot, and it will reboot without any trouble. So my mistake there, I downloaded the old driver, that's why it was booting the black screen. I apologize for that. We did not cut out any important parts. We just had some troubleshooting during shooting the video, so we just left that part out. So now we wait until it downloads, and we at this point update the NVIDIA drivers, but from your point, just be careful to download the F02 version, which is the latest one for 10.11.3 El Capitan. So now the web drivers, the correct ones, are downloaded, so we can open the package again, continue, we agree, and install. Password, test password, and continue installation. And now when we restart, hopefully we'll not have any problems. Small kernel panic, not a problem, just another restart. And now it is booting correctly. So, small note, if you have kernel panic, don't freak out, don't do anything, just let it restart again. It might have been because I also changed the config.plist within the clover back to 17.1 iMac instead of leaving it at 13.2, which I can just show you right now. Oops, my bad, no system preferences. So, mount E5 partition, as always, go home, load the config.plist, and if we go to SM BIOS, we can see that we still have iMac 17.1, and when we go to about this Mac, we can see that we have NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970 with 4 GB of DDR5. So, now what is left? We can close the clover configuration. We will not do anything with that anymore. What is left is the audio. For the audio, first we tested the Toledo script. Thank you for the script. It was very useful at the beginning, but we decided to use Voodoo HDA instead of that. So once again, we use Mr. Google and go Voodoo HDA the latest version at this moment is 2.8.8 version 3. So we go insanely Mac forum. We have the whole installation process in here. We'll go through it also. Download. Excuse me, need to log in. And no, we don't want to save the password. So we download that, the version 3. Yes, there we go. Small misclick. So Voodoo HDA. Continue, continue, continue again. Agree to the terms. And now customize. Now, because we are using the UFI clover, we want to use the UFI/ESP, and we have El Capitan, not Yosemite, so we will pick this option. There are another options which, in case you are using the legacy, not UFI version of the clover, or if you are using Yosemite, or you just want to have it installed classically directly into the system. Now we want to install the Voodoo HDA to the E5 partition, so it will boot every single time from the E5 partition or initialize. So we can just install that, put our password. So installation successful. Now if we go, just to demonstrate where the Voodoo HDA actually installed, if we go to the E5 partition, if we already have it mounted through the clover configurator, we go E5, clover, text, and El Capitan 10.11, and we can see that we have the voodoo HDA.caxt installed in here instead of the system extensions, which is the default location for the caxt within the system. So with having that, we want to install now the Voodoo HDA. Let's go to Google, and we want to use the Voodoo HDA preference pane, which we can download from sourceport.net. This is the Voodoo setting loader, not that one. If we go to the source port here, we will download the Voodoo HDA preference pane. With that being said, we used the preference pane before, or preference panel, before when we had Toledo script enabled while having the Voodoo HDA, but actually just using the Voodoo HDA we had some errors with the preference panel, so we had to install the preference pane again, what we don't have to do at the moment. So I'll just move this into the trash and just restart. Okay, in the meantime, we downloaded Voodoo HDA version 2.8.8 version 3. You can download this version from Insanely Mac forum. However, you will have to register. The registration is free, of course, but you will have to register to get access to the download. So we install that. Well, there are 3 methods to install this. We will be using, yes, of course, we need to agree. We will be installing on Mac OSX SSD, and now we can customize. Because we are using UFI clover, we need to select this one, which is under UFI/ESP, and we have El Capitan, so we'll be installing this version. Then there is another way to install this, of course, for Yosemite under UFI. Then we can also install it for the clover, which is using legacy, not UFI. And then we also have the classic version, which will pretty much install the Voodoo HDA into the system caxt which are located in the system extensions. Well, we will be using this one because we want to install the text on the EFI partition within the clover itself. So when we install it right now, after entering the password, okay, the installation was successful. So now if we go to EFI partition, which was previously mounted through the clover configurator again, we go EFI, clover, text, and 10.11, which is El Capitan. We can see that we have the voodoo HDA.text in here instead of having it in the system extensions. So with that being done, now we can just restart our system without any concerns. Graphics card working, we should not have any kernel panics or anything. So now just restart. And there we go. Enter the password. And now we are able to control the sound. However, during our test build, we figured out that there are some bugs with this solution. Meaning if I plug in a small speaker into our headphone jack, you can probably hear, if I put it on maximum, that there is a hum. Well, this hum is actually caused by so-called iGain bug, which means that you have to go to System Preferences, Voodoo HDA, and if we select this one from HD output to our Realtek ALC, I believe it was 1150. We can just put the input gain into 0, and now our audio functions normally without any hum, without any other trouble. However, there is another catch. Now if we restart the system, the input gain bug will be back, meaning that the input gain will be set to maximum again, and we have to, after each restart, we have to put it back to 0 to avoid the hum. Now, if we go to System Preferences, Users and Groups, and add the Voodoo HDA settings loader into our login items, we can just go to the applications and go Voodoo HDA settings loader, add. We can also change this to high, which is here. And now we just close the users and groups. And when we will restart the machine, it will automatically reload all of the settings that we just currently made, and we will not have the input gain bug after the restart. So let's restart the machine, and also during the restart I will point out some things. Now we can hear the hum again, which is during the boot sequence. However, when we actually enter the profile, Voodoo HDA settings loader is an application downloaded from the internet. Yes, we want to open it. Now the gain goes away. So the Voodoo HDA settings loader just loaded the settings previously made that are not default, and now the iGain bug is away. And now we can just test something from YouTube. I'm pretty sure that this will be copyrighted, so it will be muted anyway. Let's just play something like this. And our sound is successfully working. Now, what was a little bit strange for me was that when I actually went to the System Preferences and to Voodoo HDA settings and set this to control the headphones, which is the green front, we can also adjust the settings in here. I usually put IMAX to 0, PCM to full, and input gain to 0 again. And also same on the line out, which is the green rear. Now, for me it was a little bit strange when I actually plugged in speakers or headphones to the back. It was not working. So I was questioning myself, why is this actually happening when I change settings in the Voodoo HDA? Well, that's because we have to change the setting in the sound, obviously, and it took me only half of the day to figure that out, with somebody's help from the forum. So, just so you know, you have to change the output in the classic sound settings in the system preferences within the Mac OS, and not the Voodoo HDA itself. So, now, I should have left the music playing, but if we change it here from the green front to green rear, we can also have our speakers or anything, the headphones, plugged in from the back. So that pretty much settles what we went through so far. Now I can just delete all of this, so the customer will not get confused. Move the trash, empty the trash. In the system preferences, set the security settings back to Mac App Store and identified developers. We can lock it again, close this, clear the history, you know, for a reason. We have that. Now we can restart, and I will show you also something strange which is happening in the BIOS right now. Now that we are in BIOS, if we go to the boot option priorities, we can see that we have many UEFI options of the same drive, same SSD, Samsung SSD 850 EVO 500 gigs, and all over again, and then it starts with Toshiba. So this EFI multiplication, so-called, is currently a bug within the clover or the BIOS itself. On Insanely Mac forum, one user actually started a ticket within Clover that this bug should be fixed in the next version of the bootloader itself. But currently, and also, if I could remember the usernames, another user started, is communicating with the Gigabyte for the reason that they might be able to fix this in the next beta version or even next BIOS version, the next release, which should be F6. But at this point, there's no real fix how to fix this issue. First, we thought that it's because there are multiple drives with the UEFI partition, which is created by default when you create a blank hard drive, or when you format a blank hard drive or any volume inside of the Mac. But that is not the case. And here also in the boot override, we can see that we have multiple UEFI entries. So the only way how to actually fix this have a temporary fix, is to boot into Clover. Now press the right key to actually stop the countdown, so it will not boot into the Mac OS or OS X. Start the UEFI shell 64 and press the right key again to stop the countdown. Now we want to use the command C bcfg boot dump. So we will have all of the available boot devices, I would say, listed. So now what we want to actually do, we want to remove all of them to reset the list which is being violated by clover. So we use the BCFG boot RM remove, and we start from 00, 01, 02, 03, 04, and at some point it will complain that the numbers must be under 4. So what you want to do now is just to dump the boot list again and start from 0 again. You'll have to make a couple of iterations like this to remove all of the entries from the boot list. And now when we dump it the last time, we have no options found. Now we can just go exit and boot MAC OSX from MAC OSX SSD. Now sometimes it happens that it will have a kernel panic. For what actually reason, it's not known to me, but sometimes it just boots fine. So if it kernel panics, don't freak out, don't pay attention to it, just let it reboot again and your El Capitan will boot again. And maybe as you can hear now again, we have the iGain bug. I will move the speaker closer. But as soon as we log in, the iGain bug actually disappears. And we still are able to control the audio, and we have everything function. Well, that being said, that is the Hackintosh build. First of all, I would like to thank everybody who helped me, us, all of the people who contributed to the topic or thread on Insanely Mac forum, especially CyberDuce for helping me and replying to my posts. Even though it was my first Hackintosh build, I'm not a regular Mac user. I was actually using Mac for a time in my life. Even if my questions were a little bit noobish, I would say, he replied with to them with no regard, no judgment, no nothing. So thank you very much, CyberDuce. I really appreciate your help. Thank you very much, Yasenex, for providing the initial config p list for the Clover bootloader. Thank you everybody, all of the credits for the bootloader, for the Voodoo HDA, for the web drivers, for everything goes to their respective owners. NVIDIA, guys who made the Clover, guys who made the Voodoo HDA, and special thanks to Insanely Mac forum and everybody on the internet who helped to make this possible, and also who made Hackintosh in general possible. So thank you very much again, everybody. Thank you also for watching this series. I really hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time with another cool stuff.